Buckle up, folks, because episode 5 of season 2 of the Outlaw Crypto Podcast is about to blast through the very fabric of reality with our guest, the legendary Bitcoin privacy developer, Floppy. This man is not just another Bitcoiner. He's a lone wolf, a true cypherpunk warrior, fighting the forces of surveillance and tyranny with nothing but his code and unbreakable spirit. Floppy is one of the last of his kind, a dying breed of Bitcoiners who haven't been swallowed by the technocratic nightmare. Those digital puppet masters who want nothing more than to track every Satoshi, every transaction, every breath you take. And what's his weapon of choice in this battle for our digital souls? Joinstr, the decentralized coinjoin implementation over Nostr. That's right. Floppy has built a fortress of privacy within the chaotic world of social media, using the Nostr decentralized social media protocol to coordinate coinjoins in a way that nobody can trace and that nobody can stop. No central coordinator, no surveillance middleman. It's just you, your fellow privacy seekers, and the pure, unfiltered power of Bitcoin as it was always meant to be. Floppy's heroic efforts to keep Bitcoin privacy alive make him a digital freedom fighter, standing alone at the gates of the Panopticon, pushing back against the all-seeing eyes of the AI-powered matrix that wants to enslave us all in its web of control. Floppy has streamlined the CoinJoin process, making it so easy and decentralized that even the most nefarious chain analysis companies are left scratching their heads, desperately trying to track the SIG hashall and SIG hash. Anyone can pay magic that Floppy has summoned. But that's not all. Floppy's Joinstr doesn't just defend your privacy, it empowers it with customizable pools, decentralized coordination, and Nostr relays that can't be censored, hijacked, or corrupted, or decrypted. This is privacy done right, cypherpunk to its core, born out of the fiery crucible of Bitcoin's original mission. So tune in to hear how Floppy is keeping the flame of Bitcoin privacy alive, defying the corrupt technocratic gangsters who want to stamp it out. He's one of the last true Bitcoiners, a rebel coder who refuses to let Bitcoin become another tool in the global surveillance machine. On this episode, we dive deep into how Joinstr will revolutionize peer-to-peer, censorship-resistant trading, and why Floppy's work is a shining beacon in the dark dystopian future we're all fighting to avoid.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Outlaw Crypto Podcast. I'm your host, Paranoia Machinery. This is a podcasting 2.0 podcast, which means that you can stream sats and boost sats through the Fountain app. And then we also accept a variety of privacy coins such as XMR and Wownero because we're a privacy first podcast. So if you want to support the show, that's how you can do so. Today, my guest is Floppy, who is the developer that's behind a CoinJoin protocol known as Joinstr, which takes advantage of the Nostr decentralized social media protocol. I was lucky enough to get him on the show so he could tell us about his solution for Bitcoin privacy. Floppy, how are you, man? Thank you for coming on the show.
Hi, I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm really excited to have you on the show because I feel like Bitcoin privacy is a dying field of interest. And I feel like you're one of the only people that's willing to stick it out right now and continue developing privacy solutions on Bitcoin, especially after the recent controversy with the wrongful arrests of the Samurai team for their CoinJoin implementation. First of all, does that not worry you, like for your personal safety, that developers are being arrested for developing privacy solutions while you are currently working on a privacy solution?
Yes, there is a risk involved in working on anything related to privacy, especially CoinJoin. But there has to be someone working on these protocols. Otherwise, you won't have these tools for people to use. Samurai founders are not. I mean, one of them is even we don't even know where is he, and the other founder is I think house arrested in USA, so they cannot work on the coordinator which was managed by Samurai. Then we already know there are several issues with Wasabi, and join market is not easy to use for everyone. So that is one of the reasons I wanted to work on a new coin join protocol. And I've tried my best to remain anonymous, but it won't be really difficult for government agencies to dox me if they really want to. So that's the risk I'm taking, but I think uh, it's okay. I can manage it to some extent, and there has to be someone who has to work on these protocols. So yeah.
Well, that's a very noble undertaking that you're doing, considering the amount of personal risk involved. I never thought I'd live in an era where writing software would be deemed a crime and you could go to jail for writing code. Like, to me, it's totally dystopian, but I respect your commitment to the end goal of Bitcoin privacy, even at the risk of your personal safety. That's very, very noble of you to be so self-sacrificing. So with join market, you just mentioned it, and I kind of want to get this out there. I've read, I'm not like a privacy expert, but I've read that join market, because of its maker and taker fees, can be demixed. And then Wasabi, like you said, has issues. Samurai seems to be the only coin join that was non-deterministic and actually gave some sort of anonymity or privacy to its user, whereas the Wasabi coin joins are flawed, and from what I understand, so is Join Market. How is Joinstr, I guess, different than these other CoinJoin protocols?
So I've tried to keep it simple for now. It doesn't use any complex cryptography that is used for other protocols. The reason is it doesn't matter how much complex cryptography uh, you use. At the end of the day, there has to be a transaction which has multiple inputs and outputs, and nobody should be able to link those inputs and outputs. That's the only thing that matters. So you can already see that Wasabi is using a lot of things. If you look at the cryptography they have been using, still they are not able to fix the issues. They have address reuse, several other things which can be used to link inputs and outputs. So uh, in Joinstr, it can be compared. If you look at the transactions in any explorer, they would look similar to Samurai. You won't find any major difference. The only difference technically is I'm using a different SIG hash flag. Uh, and the reason is to reduce the number of steps that you need in a coin join process, because it's a process which has several steps, and sometimes the participants do not coordinate, and you time out, then you have to restart the process. So it takes a lot of time for people to coin join. So I wanted to reduce the steps required for coin join. So I'm using a different SIG hash flag. But if you look at the transactions in Explorer, it would look similar to the transactions that Samurai did.
Since you're using Nostr, is there like a centralized coordinator? Like, I know like Wasabi had a coordinator, and I think even Samurai's Whirlpool had a coordinator. Are you like decentralizing that aspect of the CoinJoin process, like via using Nostr, or are you using Nostr somehow like to be the coordinator?
Yes, so this is the most differentiating part in Joinstr. It doesn't have any centralized coordinator. So I'm just using the Nostr relays to communicate between the participants in a coin join. So If you, me, and a few other people want to do CoinJoin right now, we have to run a client on a machine, and we'll be using some relays. We just need to have some common relays between us, and those will be required to communicate or to share the PSBT, partially signed transactions between us. That's the only thing we need Nostr relays for. And they do not really control the coin join process as the coordinators do in Whirlpool or Wasabi, because in if you look at Wasabi or Samurai coordinator open source code, you can see that the coordinator can do a lot of things, including banning UTXOs and a lot of other things. So they have complete control over the coin join round, and that is one of the reasons they can also follow different process to make it Sybil resistant. But you do not have these things in Joinstr. We just use the relays to communicate. There has to be some medium in between the people who are trying to coin join. So Nostr relays and Nostr keys are only used to communicate. There's nothing else we need Nostr for. Plus, I'm not using the Nostr keys that people use for social media apps. These are the keys which are generated only for CoinJoin, and a new key is generated for each pool and each round. So you get maximum privacy, and you won't have any metadata or any other events associated with that key later. We even try to delete the events. So yeah.
That's super interesting because I was going to get into asking you about Nostr as your choice of, I guess, organizing the coin joins because, as I understand it, Nostr is not like designed for privacy and it does kind of leak metadata. So I was going to ask you about that and if you were concerned about the metadata leaks. But I guess since you're generating a new key for every single round of a coin join, there's no metadata that's leaked, correct?
I mean, if users try to change something in the client, or they use their own clients, they can make some mistakes. For example, if somebody is not using the client which we have built, they can maybe end up sharing their IP address with the Nostr relays. So they can be mistakes during the coin join if users try to experiment with different things. But if they follow the best practices and the clients that have been built for Joinstr, I don't think there'll be a problem. Plus, we'll keep trying improving it. Uh, it can be considered in the alpha phase right now, so you cannot expect much in terms of being the perfect implementation to do the coin join, but I'm hopeful it would become better with time.
Is it live on mainnet right now, or are you still like in a testnet phase since it's like in an alpha state of development?
The Electrum plugin can be used on mainnet, but I haven't seen anyone using it. And the main reason is it doesn't have Sybil resistance right now. I've already figured out how to do it, and I'm working on it. So the next release would have Sybil resistance.
With Joinstr, are you using like the code from Samurai's Whirlpool, or did you like write your own CoinJoin implementation from scratch?
No, this is everything from scratch. I have not shared a single line from any other CoinJoin implementations. Even the SIG hash used is something which is only used in Joinstr. So everything is different in this CoinJoin implementation. I've not copied anything from other.
What kind of feedback have you gotten from Bitcoiners that are focused on privacy?
People are interested in Joinstr, they want to see how it works, but nobody has really tried to contribute. There's only one developer who is even the maintainer in Joinstr now, who helped me complete the Electrum plugin. So people have not really contributed, but they are excited and they want to see how it works. And if it really works better than other CoinJoin implementations, they would want to use it in future.
Yeah, that makes sense. Uh, right now, are you the only person that's working on coin joins? Like, are there other coin join projects? I know that there's Ginger Wallet, which forked Wasabi, I guess. And then now there's like several different coordinators, but I've heard mixed things about that. First of all, because they're using Wasabi's flawed CoinJoin implementation, and then second, out of the there was like 9 different coordinators that you could use with Ginger Wallet or you could use with Wasabi. Like right before Wasabi went out of business, like as a business, they did a final update allowing you to use any coordinator. And there was a couple different coordinators that were out there, but then like this week I read that since those coordinators launched, there's only like 1 or 2 of them that are still working when there was like 9 to begin with. So like right now Bitcoin privacy is bare bones. Aside from Joinstr and your work, is there anyone else that's working on a privacy solution for Bitcoin?
Privacy solutions, yes, but if you look at only CoinJoin, I think it's just Joinstr and Join Market for now. And
Okay.
since you since you mentioned about the Wasabi coordinators, I'm looking at the website that tracks all the coordinators and their stats. So I can see that 90% of those coordinators are dead and they are not really uh, doing any coin join.
Yeah, see, that's what I read. Like I read like 2 weeks ago or something when Ginger Wallet like announced that they were a thing, that there was like 9 different coordinators that you could use with Ginger Wallet or with Wasabi. And then I read like earlier this week that none of them were working anymore. So you just confirmed that. So like right now, Joinstr is pretty much the only coin join in town outside of Join Market.
Yes, and I wish I had more contributors to speed up the things in terms of building the clients and everything. But since I'm the only one who is full-time working on this, and the other maintainer is part-time working and helping me on certain things, so it takes a while to build and fix things. But if we had more people contributing, maybe we could do better.
So like I have an audience of people that are privacy centric crypto users. Like how can someone help? Like I'm sure there's some developers that will listen to this podcast, so like how can they contribute if they want to contribute?
So the first thing is they'll have to understand how it works. Otherwise, I mean, that's the basic thing. If you don't understand how the protocol is working, you won't be able to contribute. So if you look at the docs, they are easy to understand. If you still don't understand or have any questions, you can join the Telegram channel, or you can DM me to ask questions. Then you can look at the open issues in a repository and try and fix those, or you can play with experiment, try and test how it works. You can come up with your own features or try to fix things. So that's how you can contribute. Or if you don't have any experience with code, or I've used Python for everything, so I think that should be easy for all the developers. Everyone knows Python, but if you don't know Python, you can still contribute by improving the documentation and the website and other things.
Okay, amazing. And you mentioned the Electrum plugin. What is the Electrum plugin? Is that for Electrum Personal Server, or is that just for the Electrum Bitcoin wallet?
It's for the Electrum wallet.
Okay, so you don't need like the Electrum Personal Server. You could just use Electrum that everybody uses.
You'll have to use your own Electrum personal server if you think your transactions can be tracked by the server, the default servers that are used in Electrum, or if you trust one of those servers, you can use them, or if you have any trusted Electrum server, you can use that. But for now, I think at least until we have one or two release, people should only use it for Signet or testnet.
Okay.
So on testnet and Signet, it doesn't really matter which Electrum server are you using.
Yeah, because you're testing. But in the wild, you would want to be running your own Electrum Personal Server, preferably, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then would you recommend if somebody were to use Joinstr that they connect via Tor for more privacy?
Sure, the good thing about Joinstr is it's just a protocol, and people can build their own clients. Like I have also built a web app, and we are even working on a mobile app. Plus, there's a command line interface if you want to use the terminal. So people can build their own client. They can have their own custom things. Uh, it, you just have to follow the basic protocol. The basic protocol, as in how you publish your PSBTs and interact with other peers in the CoinJoin round. As long as you're following the same protocol, it doesn't matter if you experiment with certain features in the client, like having Tor, or there can be other things that you can experiment with. So people can build their own clients, and you can even do that in other languages. It's not that you have to write everything in Python.
Okay. And for people that have used other CoinJoin implementations, like maybe someone that's familiar with using Wasabi or using Whirlpool in Samurai, how similar is the Joinstr CoinJoin process?
It's the user experience is similar to what Wasabi had in 1.0. I'm comparing that because you have to select one of the inputs for the coin join round. So initially, Wasabi had the coin control and everything. Users were able to select the input they wanted to coin join.
Yeah, you'd have to
That
choose
is
like a point 0.1 UTXO.
yes.
Yeah.
That is the only part you can compare with. Otherwise, it's completely different. If you look at the screenshots that I've shared in one of the tutorials for Electrum plugin, the user first need to create a pool, or they can even join the pools that already exist. So people create their own pools, and in the pool you can decide denomination and number of peers, how many participants you want in the pool. So for example, you can create a pool for two people, and I'll see that in my client and I'll join it. So we'll be the two people doing coin join in that pool. Then once you create the pool, you automatically register one of your new address as output. Once I join the pool, I also register my address as the output. And the second step is to register the input. So in that, I have to manually select one of the inputs from wallet. And that is the only step user has to interact. Everything happens in the background after that. And you just have to wait a few seconds, and the coin join transaction is broadcasted.
Okay, amazing. And then like are there any limits to the size or number of participants? Like can you theoretically have like I don't know, like 100 or like 500 people participating in a round of CoinJoin?
There are no limits in Joinstr protocol, but you have to technically follow the limits that are in Bitcoin. So it depends on the number of maximum inputs that are possible in a transaction.
Okay. And then do the outputs uh, have to be like the same denomination? With Wasabi 2.0, I think you could use like UTXOs that were different amounts. And in 1.0, like you had to use like point 0.1, right? And every UTXO had to be like the same for the coin join. And I think Whirlpool was similar, except for they had different pools and different amounts. So they had like a point 0.1, a point 0.01, and a point 0.001 Whirlpool pool for different sized UTXOs. But with Joinstr, like, do you have to use the same amounts? Like, do I have to have like a point 0.1 UTXO and you have to have a point 0.1 UTXO in order for us to do a coin join, or can they be different amounts?
Yes, in Joinstr, you have all outputs with the same amount,
Okay.
and even the inputs have similar amounts. They won't be same, but similar. There'll be a difference of a few thousand sats. So it doesn't really make a huge difference. It would look similar to Samurai transactions.
And how long would a coin join take on Joinstr? Is it a little bit like slower due to the fact that it's decentralized, or do they happen pretty quickly?
It depends on the relays that you're using. If um and how much liquidity, how much famous is that relay for CoinJoin if other people are using the same relays. So, for example, if people are using 10 relays for CoinJoin and uh, at least three of them have good volume and liquidity. So if you're using one of those three relays, obviously you'll get some users online and you'll be able to do CoinJoin in a few seconds.
Okay. And when you say relays, are these just normal Nostr relays that people use for like social media and like posting, or are they like specifically Nostr relays used only for CoinJoin?
These are normal Nostr relays, and most 90% communication that happens in Joinstr is encrypted. So it's similar to what you call DMs on Nostr social media apps.
Okay.
So these encrypted messages are used for most of the communication. Only one thing initially, when you create the pool, you have to share the pool information with everyone so that people can join it. That is the only thing which is public. Everything else is private and encrypted.
I know Nostr has like a very tight integration with the Lightning Network, and it sounds like Joinstr is primarily on chain. Are there any plans like to integrate Lightning or Nostr's Lightning compatibility into Joinstr?
I have not planned anything related to Lightning, but one of the things that you can do if you're using Electrum plugin is Electrum, since Electrum has Lightning support, you can when you are joining a pool of 0.01 denomination, you need to have UTXO, which is uh, either 0.01 or in a buffer range of maybe 1000 sats. I don't remember the exact number right now, but it should be closer to 0.01 denomination. So if you don't have such UTXO in your wallet, obviously you'll try to create one UTXO.
Hmm.
So when you create that UTXO, you'll have a toxic change from that transaction. So you can use Electrum to add that change in your existing open Lightning channel. That is one of the thing you can do with Electrum. Otherwise, you can block that UTXO and use it later accordingly. Uh, Yes, that is the only thing Lightning can be used for in Joinstr. But I'm planning to use Mercury layer in Joinstr for a few things, or maybe use it as a post mix tool because I think it is better than Lightning and a few other things that I've looked at.
That's super cool. I actually interviewed Nicholas from Mercury Layer like a few weeks, maybe like a few months ago. But I interviewed him about Mercury Layer, so that's super cool because he was talking about integrating Mercury Layer with Lightning and stuff like that. So if that's like a solution for your doxic change to put it into Mercury Layer, I guess that would be super cool. With Samurai, I know like for the change problem, they were implementing Monero atomic swaps, like to get rid of the toxic change into Monero for a little while, and then I guess you could come back into Bitcoin to break the heuristic links. Do you have any interest in adding atomic swaps with Monero, or are you a Bitcoin maxi?
No, I don't have any problem with Monero or being used for Joinstr. If anybody wants to create a client for Joinstr in which users can swap their toxic change to Monero, I don't have any problem, but I have not used it in any of the present clients.
Okay. And then I know with Nostr, I've seen some experimentation around eCash, and like people are using Mutiny Wallet and Cashew and stuff like that to send zaps on Nostr. Is there any plans like to integrate eCash in any way into Joinstr?
To be honest, initially I had some plans to manage toxic change using eCash. So users could mint eCash with the small toxic change that remains after CoinJoin. But after seeing all the drama and the things in last few months, I think it's a waste of time and uh, we shouldn't be promoting these custodial solutions. If somebody does that, I cannot really stop them in open source projects, but I won't be doing that in any of the clients.
Yeah, no, I could totally understand that. I am also against custodial solutions. Like, I don't really see eCash as very interesting because eCash mints will be regulated away as KYC money transmitter businesses, in my opinion. So, like, I don't really think eCash is like a solution. And I really dislike the fact that a lot of Bitcoin's commerce is taking place like in Wallet of Satoshi and other custodial wallets like Blink Wallet. I think Lightning, I guess, has been a major disappointment. Like when it was launched, everyone was going to run their own node and this and that. And the reality is very, very different. We're seeing like businesses run huge, like centralized hub nodes, and that to me is like a huge attack vector for KYC and considering those businesses like money transmitters. So custodial solutions are cancer in Bitcoin, in my opinion. So I understand why you feel that way about eCash. With Joinstr, like how soon are you planning on releasing like a finalized version that people can start using on mainnet?
I think the plan is to have the next release in a couple of weeks, and that should be usable on mainnet. And I've also, I think we don't have a lot of privacy focused users on Twitter and Nostr. So I'll be interacting with more people who are active on darknet forums and Reddit and other forums.
Nice.
Uh, I'm not sure if that is the right idea, but this is what I have figured out in last few years that people mostly are excited about these tools on Twitter and Nostr, but they don't really use it every day. The real privacy users that really need these tools are not active on Twitter or Nostr. They are mostly active on darknet forums.
What kind of interest have you seen from the darknet forums? Like, are people excited about the prospect of being able to coin join using Joinstr in a decentralized way?
I have not tried to share anything about Joinstr yet, but that will be a difficult task because based on the things that I've read on these forums, people are already they have given up on Bitcoin to some extent and already moved to Monero. So it will be very difficult to convince them to use something like Joinstr, but I'll try my best.
I could see that a little bit. Basically, like with the dark web, several markets that have accepted Bitcoin have been taken down due to mixes being like demixed and stuff like that, or like user error when it comes to Bitcoin privacy. Whereas White House Market, which was like one of the most famous dark web markets for its time, was Monero only, and the people made so much money that they ended up shutting the market down because they had made enough money and just decided to retire. Whereas with like Hydra Market or some of these other markets, we've seen that except Bitcoin, vulnerabilities in the nuances around Bitcoin privacy have led to the downfall of the market. So the dark web has been advising people to never use Bitcoin, which I think is a massive loss. Like Bitcoin's whole value proposition came out of it being black market money like that. And with the advent of chain analysis and like on chain surveillance, Bitcoin's role in the dark web has been diminished greatly. So it's great to see you working on a privacy solution that could maybe give Bitcoin legitimacy again in the black market. I do think you will have a struggle trying to convince people that have moved on to Monero that Joinstr may be an alternative to use Bitcoin privately again. A lot of people have just decided like it's too complicated to try to be private with Bitcoin, so we're just going to use Monero because it's private by default. But I know there is like a segment of dark web markets that still accept Bitcoin, and I know that Bitcoin is the biggest cryptocurrency, so it's possible that there could be a fair amount of adoption from dark web users once they confirm that Joinstr provides privacy.
Yes, that is one of the reasons I want to make it very easy to use so that anyone can use it without going much into the details of uh, post mix post mix tools and UTXO management, toxic change, everything. I just want to abstract away all these things from the user, and clients should be smart enough to do these things automatically. But if somebody is aware of these things, they should be manual options to use it. But most of the things should be automated.
So with Joinstr, like if I do a coin join, do I have to like manually select the UTXO, or will the client like do that for me?
For now, you have to select the input. The only thing which is automatically done is it gets a new address from your wallet and makes it the output for the coin join. So that is the only thing. But I've reduced a lot of steps in the coin join using the new sig hash flag. If if you go through the tutorial after this, you can see that there's only two steps required to do coin join now. The user just joins a pool and then selects one of the input for coin join, then clicks on submit. Then you just need to wait for a few seconds and it's done. So there's not much left to remove from the coin join process.
Like once you, I guess, polish the client a little bit more, like are you going to abstract that aspect of it away, or is it going to remain that way that you have to kind of do it manually?
There'll be options to do both. For example, the address is automatically added as output right now, but I have to add one option so that user can select his own address for the output. And one of the reasons for doing that is because I want to integrate Mercury layer, and it can only be done if the user is able to add his own address as output. So uh, we will make a lot of changes, but it will be usable for both type of users. If you don't know much about Bitcoin, you can still use the client. And if you know and you want to make manual selections, manual inputs, you can still do that.
With Whirlpool, one of the features that people really liked was the ability to, once you participate in a mix, just leave your UTXO there and it will keep mixing it. Are you able to do multiple rounds of CoinJoin like without an additional fee, or is there like a fee for every round that you participate in?
So this is one of the trade-off. This cannot be achieved with Joinstr protocol. At least I cannot figure out a way right now to do that. So remixing and free remixing cannot be done with Joinstr. You'll have to join new pools and pay fees in each pool, each round.
As the developer, like in your opinion, if there was like a perfect set of conditions to do a Joinster mix, like what would the optimum amount of participants be?
I think anything more than 10 inputs, more than 10 users in a transaction is fine, but you shouldn't rely on one coin join. You should do it multiple times. And since this is mostly decentralized, uh, you'll have to do your own analysis for certain things and look at your own transactions. So we'll make it easier in the client, but there are only certain things that you can do when you have one or two contributors. So people will have to figure out certain things and do their own analysis for transactions before they consider anything private or anonymous.
Is there any like restrictions on UTXO size? Like, say I had a lot of Bitcoin, say I had like hundreds of Bitcoin. Is there a way to do like Joinster coin joins for like a whole Bitcoin UTXO, like in every coin join? Or is there like a way to do like 10 Bitcoin or something like that? Or is it always going to be the fixed amount of 0.01?
No, the amount can be changed. So when you use the Electrum plugin. That is the only usable client now. So you have to create a pool or you can join a pool, and every pool has a denomination and a number of peers. If you don't like the existing pools and their denominations, you can create your own pool. For example, I want to do a coin join with maybe 1.05 BTC denomination. I can create a pool with that denomination, and I can also select the number of peers I want. I want to do it with 100 peers. So I can enter that number 100, and I can then wait for 100 people to join the pool. And yeah, that's it.
I guess when Joinster gets adoption, like there will be people creating their own pools, and then there'll probably be just pools of different denominations, and then the user would just choose which pool they want to join when they want to make a coin join.
Yes.
With the coin join, I guess, like what would like the anonymity set be? Like is that like, say we have like 10 users, it would be like 1 of 10 or something like that? Or
So I have not done the anonymity set calculations yet.
okay.
There are two reasons for it. First, we are still experimenting with a lot of things, and some things I still not decided. Second is user has a lot of options in Joinstr, so there's nothing fixed here. A user can do a coin join with maybe three people and some denomination that we are not even aware of, and
Mm-hmm.
the other user can do coin join with 30 people, maybe 30 times do the same thing, and with different denomination. And the third reason is I'm not good at maths, so I need someone who is good at maths to do to help me with this. So maybe we'll have anonymity set calculations in a few weeks from now, but I don't have those numbers with me.
Okay. And with like the fee climate in Bitcoin and Joinstr taking place on chain, are you concerned at all that like fees will be prohibitively expensive and prevent people from using Joinstr?
I think fees, there will be times when the fees would be high, but I've seen that mostly users will get enough time to do coin joins, and these are mostly low preference transactions, low time preference transactions. So it doesn't really matter if it takes a few hours or few days to do the coin join if you get the right privacy for your transactions. And I think Joinstr will even be cheaper compared to a few other CoinJoin implementations because there's no coordinator fee involved here. Even if there is no free remixing, you're not paying any company or any coordinator a certain fee. You have your own decentralized protocol, and you can use it with free relays or paid Nostr relays, and it will be cheaper compared to other CoinJoin implementations.
When you do a coin join, like I know with Whirlpool and then also with Wasabi and Join Market, like you may not be able to tell like whose UTXO it is, like it's a private UTXO, but you can tell that it's been coin joined. With Joinstr, is that still an issue? Like, can you tell that the UTXO has participated in a coin join?
Yes, CoinJoin transactions can be easily identified because, especially when you're doing CoinJoin with a similar amount inputs and outputs. So that is something which cannot be changed. But the only thing which you can do is use better post mix tools before you actually spend that UTXO. So one of the examples that I can share with you is, since we'll have Mercury layer integration, users can swap their UTXOs after doing coin join with someone else off chain. So if somebody is looking at the coin join transaction, they might see it as unspent output. They might wait for it to get being used in some transactions, but they are not aware that in the background off chain, it's actually being transferred from one person to another, and maybe some different person is going to use it ultimately in the future.
So I guess you'd go like directly from a Joinstr coin join into Mercury layer and then swap your private key with someone else and just completely break like any heuristics that may exist around the coin join.
Yes.
That's super cool, man. Are you planning on doing any other like post mix tools? Like I know like Samurai had like Ricochet and Stonewall and like these other tools. Are you planning on incorporating any features like that into Joinstr to kind of improve the post mix process aside from Mercury layer?
I've not looked at other tools, but I'm really interested in mix tools because they are even more important than the actual coin join transaction. Because if you do not spend your coin join properly, you can undo everything that you did with the coin join transaction. So post mix tools are really important, and in some cases more important than the coin join transaction. So I'll be researching and trying to create more tools which can help users. But at the moment, I'm only looking at Mercury layer.
Okay. And then like are you making it so that automatically in the client like mistakes can't happen? So like what you just said, like if I accidentally like mixed my doxic change with a coin joined UTXO, I could undo the privacy that I had gained by doing the coin join. Like in the client, are you putting in like safeguards to prevent that from happening?
It's not there yet because we only had only one release for Electrum plugin. but we will surely add these features so that people do not make mistakes.
Right now, I guess you have to be like pretty into Bitcoin privacy to use Joinstr, but you're planning on making it so that like a novice, like somebody that's not like a privacy nut, could come in and just use it and still benefit from the privacy gains without making, I guess, a rookie mistake, correct?
Yes, that's the idea. And the next thing which I'm working on is web apps. So I think that will be the easiest way to do CoinJoin. You can just open a website and start doing CoinJoin. And if you don't trust the official web app, you can host it yourself because it'll be open source. So you can run it locally in your browser and then use Joinstr.
When Joinstr goes live, you mentioned that you're going to have a mobile app. Will you be able to, I guess, run a CoinJoin like from your phone?
Yes. So the initial idea was to create a mobile app only for Joinstr, but at this moment, I'm not sure if I'm going to integrate with any existing mobile app or should we create a mobile app from the scratch. So we might even do both. We can create a app which works only for Joinstr and then also do integrations with other wallets that exist for Android. But I think even if you do it from mobile, you'll have to enter your Bitcoin full node address in that so that you have the maximum privacy and you're not using the full node which somebody else is running. So that will be one of the things. Rest, I think it's very easy to create a mobile app for Joinster. We just need some time and one developer who is good with Android apps.
So you recommend using your own node rather than not running your own node for doing Joinstr.
Yes, because that is the basic thing you need for privacy. Like uh, you can have all sort of things for gaining maximum privacy for a blockchain, but if you're not having privacy at P2P level, and then you're ultimately going to share your UTXOs and transactions with somebody else. So it doesn't make sense. And we do know that some of these nodes are also being run by the companies that spy on Bitcoin users. So it's not ideally the right way to use Bitcoin without your own full node.
Okay, yeah, that totally makes sense. I know there's like a lot of different Nostr clients. Like there's Amethyst, there's Iris, there's Primal. Are you guys planning on implementing Joinstr or integrating, I guess I should say, Joinstr into any of these existing Nostr clients?
I had thought about this, but I think the developers who are working on these social media clients won't be interested to have CoinJoin integrated in these web apps. The main reason is everyone is scared and they think it is the most risky thing that you can do as a developer in Bitcoin right now. So
I would
not
say
everyone
not
is.
just in Bitcoin. It's probably the most risky thing you can do in software development.
Yes. So I don't think they'll be interested. Even if they are interested, I think you don't have enough users on Nostr that really care about their on-chain privacy. And the reason I say this is because they are mostly zapping each other using custodial wallets. So that is a different set of crowd which doesn't really care about their on-chain transactions. Most of them don't even use on-chain Bitcoin. So I don't think we'll have a lot of users on Nostr. But and I didn't even create Joinstr because because I thought Nostr would be a great idea to get users from these social media apps. That I started working on this in 2022 when it was not even overhyped. Nobody had invested in it. Jack was not involved in it. So
Wow. So
at that
you have been doing this since the beginning with Nostr.
yes, so at that moment, they were not enough. What do you call protocols to experiment and use for decentralized projects. So I thought I should start experimenting with this Nostr thing, which is used for social media, because it looked very simple and easy to work with. So that is the only reason I used Joinstr. I used Nostr, and for a normal user, it won't be even visible. If you look at the user interface, a user won't be able to identify that he is using the Nostr protocol in the background. So that is the whole idea. And I'm not even looking for users on Nostr social media apps. The main people or users that I really want to focus on, I think they are on darknet forums.
That's super impressive that you've been doing it that long, like on Nostr. Like I joined Nostr like pretty early on. Like I've been on Nostr a couple of years now, and I remember the very, very early days of Nostr, like when the clients were super hard to use, like when Astral Ninja was like the only client. And like that's super impressive that you've been plugging away at a Nostr based CoinJoin implementation, like basically since the beginning. You say that like you're focusing on like privacy focused dark web Bitcoiners. I think you're correct in focusing on them because those are the people that need privacy. But like you said, Bitcoin adoption in the dark web has been declining significantly. Like, do you feel that there's still like a significant amount of people that are using Bitcoin in that way?
I think it has, it's not the same that it was in 2015 or maybe before that, but there are still users that use Bitcoin and would be interested in such things. They mostly use custodial mixers. So if they get a similar experience, they have the same user interface and user experience. I think it won't really matter for them what's really used in the background. And I think there's still hope we can change things in Bitcoin privacy if we really try to. And I just want to make some efforts in doing that.
Yeah, no, I commend you for it. Somebody needs to do it, and the fact that you're doing so like at great risk to yourself is very, very commendable. I want to talk to you about a different subject, I guess. Like, what do you see right now happening with Bitcoin, like with the ETFs and like kind of this whole like banker takeover of Bitcoin? Like, do you still see like a cypherpunk future for Bitcoin, or is it too late? Like, has it been captured by the institutions, in your opinion?
I think it's captured to some extent, and the people are that we look at on Twitter are really loud. So even if you have some people who still belong to that cypherpunks category, they're not really loud. They don't share a lot of things on social media. Plus, the real users that I've been talking about, for example, uh, Bitcoin is still used in a lot of ransomwares. These users you don't really see on social media interacting with us. Most of the people on Twitter that you see are uh, people associated with exchanges or some business, and they are here to only make money. I'll be honest, and it doesn't really matter what happens with Bitcoin. They mostly care about the price of Bitcoin, and that is the main reason they are so bullish on something like ETFs and eCash or Bitcoin banks, because I think if uh, if you look at the Bitcoin price today, the user who must have invested in these Bitcoin ETFs is the biggest fool, because they don't even have the self custody to use Bitcoin for something else. So the only reason they invested was to they wanted to get rich because of the Bitcoin price, which didn't really happen. So if they really want to get rich of something like speculating on the price, they should invest in stocks or something else. Bitcoin is meant for censorship resistant transactions mainly, and it would remain the same. But things have changed. But I think the people who still care about cypherpunk culture should not give up, and we should keep trying. Uh, I think these things would settle, and ultimately, the people who care about Bitcoin and decentralization and censorship resistant would remain in the end, and everyone else who is just here to get rich uh, would not even be active on Twitter anymore after like a few years.
Do you feel that with Bitcoin users, like the majority of them being KYC'd and like buying their Bitcoin from like Coinbase and places like that have their personal information, when there's stats out there that say like 85 to 90% of Bitcoin users have been KYC'd, do you feel that trying to remain private in a crowd of KYC'd people is like a lost cause, considering that everybody else on the network has been KYC'd?
I don't think it's a lost cause at this moment, but there are certain things you cannot really control, like expecting other people to be focused on privacy uh, is something we should avoid, because even if you look outside Bitcoin, there are not much people who care about their privacy in the real world. You can look at anything like Tor is not used by everyone in the world. Monero is not used by everyone. Then even if you look at basic digital privacy, people still use things like Facebook, WhatsApp, and they still share everything. They share their uh, KYC documents with everyone. In India, you even have something called Aadhaar. That is a document which scans all your biometrics and it is shared with everyone.
That
So
got hacked
people
too,
don't,
huh?
yes. So people don't really care about their privacy in real world, and we are only among the 1% people that care. So it will remain the same. I think it will always be a minority that cares about privacy, but we shouldn't be sad about it. We shouldn't give up. We should keep trying to raise the awareness and get more people to care about their privacy.
I agree. I agree. It's a fight that we should continue fighting, even though the odds look overwhelmingly against us, especially like with the whole everyone signing away their rights to privacy, like by clicking a EULA on every single app they use and giving up their data to every single online service. So I agree with you. Although it looks hopeless, we do need to continue fighting for privacy. With the Electrum plugin right now, like if I wanted to use Joinstr, like on chain, like if I wanted to do a coin join with you, how would I go about doing so? Like you mentioned, there's a plugin. I have to download something and like add that to my Electrum wallet somehow, like to get started. Like how does that work?
Yes, so since it's not a default plugin, uh, which is the reason it won't be available when you download Electrum. So you'll have to download a zip file from the repository GitLab for Joinstr. Then you'll have to copy that directory inside your plugins in the Electrum that you downloaded.
Okay.
Then you follow a certain steps that I have written in a tutorial I can share after this.
Yeah, shoot me the
So
link and I'll put it in the description so if people want to use it, like they can get started.
sh- sure, it's not really difficult if you have used if you're if you are using Linux, or maybe it doesn't really matter. Even on Windows, you must have used a command line. You can really use it. There are just only 5 or 6 steps to use Electron plugin.
Where can they download the Electrum plugin? Like, do you have it on your GitHub or something like that?
Yes, we are using GitLab for Joinstr, so it's
Okay.
on GitLab,
Okay.
and the link is also available on the main website, which is joinstr.xyz.
I will make sure that I include that link in the description also. Basically, like, I want people that are interested in being private with their Bitcoin to listen to the podcast, and then if they're interested in using Joinstr, have the links right there so they could just download whatever they need and get started. Right now, is there anyone currently using Joinstr, or is it just you and like other developers that are working on it testing? Like, are there people actually using it for CoinJoins right now?
Some people have tried it on Signet, but I haven't seen anyone using it for mainnet.
Would you recommend they
But
use it for mainnet, or is it still a little too reckless?
no, there was one user in the Telegram chat who was asking if he should use it for mainnet, and we denied, and he eventually used it on Signet. So we don't recommend to use it on mainnet until there's Sybil resistance added in the plugin, which will be done in the next release.
I know you're not a fan of custodial solutions like eCash and Lightning wallets that are custodial and stuff like that. What are you excited about in Bitcoin right now? Like, what's the thing that captivates your interest the most in Bitcoin right now?
I think I'm mostly waiting for the next soft fork to see what kind of improvements do we get at protocol level,
Do you
because
favor any particular like covenant solution right now? Like, is there one that you like better than the others?
I think CTV and CAT could be done, but people are not sure about CAT, and they think CTV is too limited. They want more things to happen with covenants. So people don't really agree on any covenant proposal at the moment. But I think we would have some one of these proposals going live in next couple of years, or maybe drive chains could even happen, because Paul is trying to do a user activated soft fork. Uh, so let's see what happens. But I'm excited for the next soft fork, because uh, we already know what can be achieved on Bitcoin at this moment, and there's not much left to be explored. The only things which we do not know is what would happen after the next soft fork. So that's what I'm really excited about. Plus, I also want to see more people building privacy related projects for Bitcoin. And yeah, that's it.
Do you remember like when Taproot was being discussed before they implemented Taproot in the last soft fork, and they were talking about how Taproot was going to make coin joins like super cheap and way easier to do because you could like aggregate signatures like all in one transaction. Like, whatever happened to that, and why is nobody that is like developing privacy solutions like leveraging that aspect of Taproot for coin joining?
So cross input signature aggregation was initially a part of the Taproot soft fork, but it was not included because it wasn't really ready. It's still not ready, and I don't even know if full aggregation is possible because mostly I've seen things related to half aggregation. So, and in the half aggregation, we don't really get the discount that people are looking for. You'll maximum get 5% discount on a transaction which has a lot of inputs. So I don't really see that changing too much in terms of privacy. For example, if a coin join protocol like Samurai, I think Samurai had some discounts and offers regularly. People could use some codes. I think it was called S code or something. So even with those discounts, we couldn't see more than 10% of Bitcoin transactions being used for CoinJoin. So 5% discount on some transactions in which you have a lot of inputs would not really change a lot in Bitcoin. Plus, I see some issues with the cross input signature aggregation. It can even be bad for privacy in certain cases. So we all agree that even if someone is really focused on privacy, he would not be doing all the transactions using CoinJoin. There would be some transactions that would be normal Bitcoin transactions. So in those normal Bitcoin transactions, you have all the inputs that belong to you. In such a transaction, there'll be a choice. Either you can do it without cross input signature aggregation, or you can use the aggregation. So if you use the aggregation, you'll get a discount on fees, but you might make bad choices for your privacy in some cases, and because all those inputs belong to you. So there are some edge cases in which things can go wrong. Plus, it incentivizes people to use multiple inputs in a transaction, which might even belong to themselves. So it's really a part of research at this point, and I don't think it really helps privacy. It was not really understood by everyone, and that is the reason some people expected that it might help privacy.
Okay. And with these proposals right now that are being discussed for covenants like OpCat and CTV that you just mentioned, will any of those like improve the ability to do coin joins or make them cheaper or easier to facilitate? Like, are there any benefits from these covenant proposals that could be applied to Bitcoin privacy?
Yes, there are multiple things which can help in privacy, and one of them is using payment pools. You can have rolling coin join. That was a concept or a term used by Greg Maxwell. So he thinks payment pools can be used for a better version of CoinJoin in which people would have a payment pool. People would be joining a payment pool and exiting the pool, and nobody would be able to make out, looking at the transactions, which input belongs to which output. I mean, you cannot really link the users that joined the pool and that those that exited the pool. It'll be similar to CoinJoin, but you have two steps in this process, and you can compare it with Tornado Cash. In Tornado Cash, you have you have a smart contract, and people join the pool in that smart contract. They send all their Ethereum and other tokens to the contract. Eventually, they withdraw from the contract, and nobody can link the deposits and the withdrawals. So similarly, in a payment pool, you'll have the same concept, but you won't have all the cryptography and ZK snacks involved, but it'll be a basic version of Tornado Cash.
I love anything that can improve privacy on Bitcoin. I think like Bitcoin has been harmed substantially by not focusing more on privacy and fungibility being added to the base layer of the protocol. I know there's lots of Bitcoiners that will completely disagree with me on that, but like in my opinion, the fact that Bitcoin has lost market share in the dark web, which we've discussed several times already in this interview, is a travesty. Like that never should have been allowed to happen. If Bitcoin would have been more forward thinking as far as privacy goes, then that never would have occurred. Nobody would use Monero because Bitcoin would be dominating still. And like by not adding privacy, it's been a huge problem for Bitcoin's success, in my opinion. And not just on the dark web. Like I feel like a lot of businesses and like institutions and stuff don't want to adopt Bitcoin for the very same reason because they don't want to give up their trade secrets or who they're doing business with by leaving a transparent on-chain record. So I feel like the lack of privacy in Bitcoin has been extremely harmful to Bitcoin. So when you're telling me that there's going to be improvements to Bitcoin privacy if some of these proposals go through, I think that's very, very exciting as a Bitcoiner. Like, what are you most optimistic about in Bitcoin right now?
So I think if we have covenants, it's not just payment pools. There are multiple things that would be improved. If you look at state chains, they would get improved. Then there are certain other proposals and projects like ARC uh, that are trying to get a second layer. Lightning should not be the only layer to for Bitcoin, but it even improves privacy, and you can use it Arc as a privacy tool. Like you can enter the Arc and you can exit out of Arc, and you'll not be able to make out who was the user that deposited and who withdrawn. So these things can have a lot of combinations in which you can improve your privacy. We still need to experiment more and see how things would work. But I'm very optimistic and very excited about covenants and drive chains. If you look at drive chains, you can have any sort of side chains which would work similar to Zcash or Monero. So even if you are not interested in those side chains, you can just use it as a tool to enter and exit, which would improve the privacy for your Bitcoin.
I would love to see drive chains as well. Like I feel like Paul has been blackballed by the Bitcoin developer community for a long, long time, and that if Bitcoin would have maybe implemented drive chains when Paul initially proposed the BIPs, like in 2014 or 15 or whenever that was, maybe Bitcoin would nipped the altcoin market out of existence, like before it could have gotten started. As it stands now, like I think a lot of the altcoin community is just like philosophically opposed to Bitcoin. And even if drive chains come about now and get implemented into Bitcoin and they're a huge success, like there's still going to be an altcoin market because like Ethereum people are passionate about Ethereum in the way that Bitcoiners are passionate about Bitcoin. And I'm sure like people in Solana are the same way about Solana and all these other altcoins like that have their own communities and user base. Like the people are passionate about the project, so they're not going to jump ship at this point. But Drive Chain to me could be super interesting. I would love to see it implemented. I'm kind of shocked that like Bitcoin Cash or Litecoin or like one of these other chains that shares a code base with Bitcoin hasn't implemented Drive Chain. I don't know like why that is, but I think like Drive Chain could be a huge benefit for Bitcoin. Do you have any opinion on why the Bitcoin community has been resistant towards implementing Drive Chain?
I think it was initially the risks involved in such a proposal, and how would it change the things with mining pools, and how much control they have over the network, and what all things are possible if they can censor some transactions, or they can even steal someone's Bitcoin. But most of those things are over hyped, and some influential developers like Peter Todd and other people have written some posts which were not really researched, but people trusted those people, and the opinions from some co-developers have been such that the security of Bitcoin would change after the drive chain. But I don't really agree with all those points. And I think drive chain is inevitable for, because even if you don't have BIP 300, BIP 301 activated, you can still do drive chains using other proposals like CAT and CSFS. So drive chain is even possible with covenants. So eventually someone would create it and try to experiment with different side chains. So why not do it properly with BIP 300? But let's see how this user activated software, which is planned uh, maybe in a few weeks or few months, would work. And yeah,
Do you believe that like if drive chain gets implemented that there will be like a migration of altcoiners like coming into Bitcoin? I know like with ordinals, we saw like a bunch of people that were on Ethereum and like Solana and stuff like that, like doing meme coins come into Bitcoin and start using Bitcoin for that. Whether you agree or disagree with that, it was a phenomenon that took place. So like if drive chain gets added to Bitcoin, like do you think we'll see like a migration of altcoiners like come into Bitcoin and start experimenting with drive chain?
I don't think they'll stop using altcoins like Ethereum and Solana, but some people would eventually start experimenting with side chains on Bitcoin, and even uh, we might even see more developers being involved in Bitcoin, because there'll be more things to do on side chains. You cannot do much on Bitcoin at this moment on chain. If you look at on chain, scripting is limited to do certain things. But if you have side chains, you have complete freedom to do a lot of things.
Do you think
So
that the resistance to shitcoining, like in the Bitcoin culture and community, was detrimental to Bitcoin? Like, do you think if Bitcoin would have accepted shitcoining and facilitated the shitcoinery on top of Bitcoin, that it would have been a net gain for Bitcoin in general?
yes, and I think the that was even the idea uh, that some people planned everything would be done on Bitcoin, but it would happen on layer 2, then nothing happened on Lightning. So everyone was waiting for the side chains or the layer 2s that would allow people to do smart contracts and other things that you normally see on other chains, or better privacy protocols. Those things have not happened because you only have, I think, two federated side chains. One is liquid and other is rootstock. They have a different security and trust assumptions. You rely or you trust Blockstream and some exchanges when you're using liquid, and you trust other federation when you're using rootstock. So things would have been different if you had better side chains. That's what I feel.
You've been very, very generous with your time. I want to thank you for coming on the show and allowing me to ask you all these questions about Joinstr and just Bitcoin in general. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Floppy. Do you want to give like your Twitter or like your GitHub or any like social media links to anybody that may be listening so that they can follow you and stay on top of what you're working on?
Sure. So Joinstr.xyz is the website for Joinstr protocol, and you can find me on Twitter if you search for 144 4 times 0 bytes, or you can yeah, that's the only username that you can search.
Thanks again, man, for coming on the show. I'm super excited about Joinstr. I can't wait to see you release like a more polished version, I guess. And I can't wait to see people actually using it on chain to attain privacy for their Bitcoin UTXOs.
Sure, I'll be releasing the next version of plugin soon. And thank you for having me. It was great talking to you.